Hey, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming to Ahead of the Curve. We got a really cool show for you today. Before we get started, we're going to do a shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Shield Folio. Shield Folio sells what's called a stone book, right? So it is paper that can't be torn, any information really, but what's especially important for crypto is things like seed phrases, right? So by using the code Bitcoin, you should get your stone book with a 20% off discount. So everybody who's been here a while, you know the issues we have and concerns with seed phrases, how important self-custody is. So check out Shield Folio, and thanks. Moving on from that, we have a really cool show for you today. We've got some awesome guests. Peace Love Music is back with us, otherwise known as Steve. We have Elemento Stackers, and we have Giga Pepe Spaceship Club. So real quick, we'll start out with Steve. Just tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what you've been doing since the last episode, and
well, I've been spending a lot of time working on the Stacks DeGrants stuff, trying to get into their spaces a little bit and looking at some of the stuff that they're doing and trying to help out with some of that stuff. Really cool stuff going on. I wrote an article about the DeGrants program last week that I published last week that has a lot of great information. And I think there's like 6 days left to apply for the current cohort. It's like $50K worth of funding available for new projects getting within the 6 tracks. So that's what I spent a lot of this week on. Some stuff going on with NodeRocks in the background, developing some stuff there. And I actually made I made it to 1,000 followers on my new Twitter account this week. So that was really cool. Getting back to where we were before Havoc happened earlier in the winter. So having a nice busy week. Really been some cool stuff.
How are you, Giga Pepe? How's it going, brother?
It's going great, man. Having to book the DeGrants guys and making some artwork for them and trying to progress my story along. You know, I've been doing a lot of writing and, I plan to try to use my project to educate people on what's going on in the ecosystem while I'm doing it. You know, just do some dope artwork and inform people of what's going on. You know, so I intend to incorporate real events from the STX ecosystem into the comic strip that I'm gonna do, the Giga Pepe Spaceship Club. I'm really DMT. You know, you've got my head just blown wide open. It's got my mind on overdrive, and I'm thinking of all the, other things outside of the box. What's outside of the box? You know, it's brand new to Stack.
Exactly.
There's so much.
Exactly. That is, dude. It's cool. You've got a fantastic art collection, and yeah, that's what crypto is all about, man. It's about what can happen even if I know you are the official guest co-host this week, my friend. How are you doing? Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
What's up, Jack? What's up, team? So glad to be here. You know, this is the first space I've done in, I don't know, going on 6-7 years in the Stacks community. Really thrilled to see all the stuff going on in the community, the organic growth. I'm really just kind of an average guy, a non-tech guy looking to help communities grow organically. No one pays me. I'm excited about DMT, the Invaders, a PhD in chivalry, as you can see here in the bio. Looking forward to talking today, seeing what we got on the agenda and providing whatever kind of insight and asking any kind of questions I've got.
Well, that's really cool, man. I'm glad you're here. It's a good panel. You know, everybody here has been where you're talking about right now, and kind of exists in that place as someone who is excited about Stacks, which is a L2. Well, Stacks is really honestly a L1. If you wanted to split hairs, you'd probably just go ahead and call it like a layer 1.5 because of its unique relationship with Bitcoin. But for the purpose of the meta, you know, it's a L2 on Bitcoin. It's head and shoulders above everyone else. It is a decent. It's a decentralized, right? Stacks Invaders, that's decentralized. NodeRocks, decentralized. So I figured while we're talking about decentralized, I think it'd be a really cool thing to talk about the decentralized grants program that is happening on Stacks. Hero Gamer, who is a kind of a legend in the Stacks ecosystem, he's always working. I don't know if that guy sleeps or if he's like a vampire or what his thing is, but the dude is just forever hustling, and he's been working on his DeGrants program for a long time. And so I'm kind of on the periphery of the DeGrants thing, but I know that that you've been working with it a lot recently, Peace Love Music, and you as well, Giga Pepe. So why don't y'all tell the audience a little bit about Stacks DeGrants from a retail user's perspective, what is actually interesting there for them, but also as a builder, from a builder who's from another chain, right? Because that's really what's going to make or break the L2s. It's not funding, it's not hype, it's going to be projects and users.
Right. And it's about usability too. You know, that's really what the DeGrants program is looking to do is fund. It's not like mission critical base level core infrastructure for Stacks, but it's building stuff on top of Stacks or to support people that are trying to build stuff out. Maybe they're just in an idea phase, and they need to be connected with the dev. It's not even just about the funding, it's about the support too. You're getting a network with the community. So, you know, you got devs that maybe need some help with marketing, or you've got someone that has an idea, but they need help with dev, or you got devs and artwork. And it's about putting these people together and maybe finding some funding to bring in pieces that you don't have for your project at the same time.
That's really cool, because I think a lot of people, when they hear about this crypto stuff, especially if they're relatively new, what's between blockchain project versus what's just a normal software, and you're working on a decentralized blockchain like Stacks. There's no CEO, there's no board of directors. You know, there's a blockchain and it's permissionless, and people go and build. So the DeGrants is a way for teams to essentially be able to bootstrap their projects, which I'm a big fan of. Bootstrapped crypto, I think that is, for lack of a better term, real crypto. Some crypto things, you require a lot of infrastructure, they require a lot of money up front. That's great for investment, but a lot of your best stuff on crypto, especially when you get into tokens and NFTs and things like that, they're bootstrapped. So is that a fair way of saying it? It's a way to help teams, you know, get up and running?
Right. People building something on Stacks that's going to add value. Go ahead, GPSC.
I'm sorry about that. I think that, you know, working closely with DeGrants, I say yes. Like I think it's necessary. I think it puts you close to new developers and new people coming into the ecosystem, and you get to see what people are building, and it connects people. It's all about connection whenever you're first getting into this space and trying to get yourself established. And that's what DeGrants does. You know, it puts you next to the people you need to be building with, and around people that can instruct you and kind of direct you in the right direction to get you the resources that you need. So it's not only just about getting funding, it is absolutely about getting people together.
So that's interesting because you've been in the Stacks community for a while. What as someone who's been here making art, and you can tell the audience about your art in case they don't know, and your collections. How does that feel? Like, what's your impressions of it? Just going in as someone who is, like I said, been here for a minute, but really probably just stumbled onto this. Didn't really know much about it before.
Right. It's me whenever I first got to getting to know people in the ecosystem, it all really started kind of slowly. I was more of an introvert, and I had my head down making art. But the more and more that I opened up and got to know the people in the ecosystem and the people working in got to talk to them more, it brought a sense of like community out in me, and like being wanted. A lot of artists struggle with just being themselves, and they're not like that, so it was hard for me in the beginning, but it made it very easy very quickly because of people like you guys. You guys were the ones that we getting before I even getting any X account together or anything like that. I did it piece by piece, and I took my time with it, and I was so people were so accepting and willing to help in the ecosystem that it made it easy for me to get on things like this and talk about my project. And all I want to do is help other artists find that sense of confidence in themselves to get their art on chain so they can contribute to the culture of Stacks. So I chose Pepe, my character, to do. He's well known, he's one of the most popular memes in the ecosystem, and I figured, I could tell a story with it, and it kind of evolved from something completely small, like my first collections were only 130 pieces. Now I'm creating a whole universe, and I want to use it to onboard the talent into the ecosystem.
I don't know if it was just me, but you were cutting out there a little at the end. LMNO is someone who is, just you're a fan of the ecosystem. You've been here a while. You see the value proposition in the underlying technology. What's your perception of something like DeGrants, and because I think you're a good representative of retail sentiment. How do you feel about that?
Well, I've been in a bunch of spaces with Hero Gamer talking about DeGrants. I mean, I don't love the name personally. It sounds a little bit ambiguous. I'm just not sure exactly what's going on. But I can see Trippin' Monkey in the comments just mentioning that Hero and DeGrants got him here, and it's a great entry point. But one thing I haven't been able to understand about it is what's the trade-off? I mean, is this like akin to a venture capitalist that takes some kind of position in the artist or in the company, or by bringing teams together like a lot of VCs do? So there's a lot of questions around it. I'm glad it's there. I'm glad we have some lower, I don't remember what the amount is, but it's like a maximum of 50 grand or something like that. It's not, $1 million in 5 months or something like that. But so, I mean, there's still a lot of question marks around it, and, what its ultimate goal is beyond initial funding.
If I'm not mistaken, and I'm not the one to speak to the very specifics of it, because I haven't followed it as closely as I follow other things, is that there's a Stacks Foundation, right? and that the grants are just awarded from the foundation. It's almost like a part of a budget. And there's as far as I understand, there's no equity, that goes back to anyone else or anything. It's just resources there to help fuel development. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
I believe that's correct, Jack. I think it's literally just a grant award. One quote unquote string that I've heard people mention is that it does require KYC to receive. And that's because the grant, they have to account for who's receiving the grant on their end. They can't give money away to nobody and actually qualify it as a grant award.
Right.
So they're kind of looking at ideas to resolve that concern or see if there's any way to do that. But that as of right now, that's my understanding, and I'm not an expert either. Still kind of new to figuring it out. But my understanding is that it's a grant. It's to help, it's not a huge amount of money. It's really more about helping people with a little bit that need something to kind of get started, and or providing support in any way and building a community. It's an evolving situation. It's decentralized, so it's right. Like the community decides who's going to get the funding after all the applications come in.
And that's really cool. And I can say for a fact, in this space where we talk about Bitcoin being worth $64,000 a piece, where we talk about just dropping thousands of dollars on ordinals or tokens or whatever, when you're building something, like if we had a grant for Rue or Stacks Invaders, man, 50 G's will take you far. I mean, that's if you've got something good, 50 G's will give you enough to really, if you need some extra work done, if you need some, for instance, about you have to hire someone who knows how to make a game. Neither one of us know how to do that. So, I mean, you talk 50 grand, man, you got there's your game and some lanyap, right? I mean, so I think it's right. It sounds modest, but that's a good bit of money.
Well, let me clarify that though, because my understanding is right now it's a $50,000 pool for this cohort. So this version of applications, and there's 6 tracks. Like there's a DeFi track and one specifically to development on BNS, one's for NFT development. So like the DeFi is also looking at GameFi as an option. So that might be something you could get in for the Stacks Invaders. There's still time to even submit an application for that. One's for artists, art, and then there's a 6th one that's like just kind of like if it doesn't fall, you have a project that doesn't fall underneath that one of those other 5 tracks, you can apply. But it's a $50,000 pot roughly
total. And is it
everything.
Is it evenly distributed?
I think it depends on what gets submitted, what gets asked for, and what gets approved. And so you might have a number of projects within a track that gets a little bit of money for this and a little bit of money for that.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, still, if you're talking, you get
even if it's $5 grand.
That's no, sure. On here, we're kind of talking about decentralization and kind of new things going on. What do you guys think about the new DMT mets that we have going on Stacks right now? I'll go ahead and get to LMNO first, since he's a hardcore Degen. So as a Degen brother, what do you think about the DMT mets, the Stacks Invaders collection? We'll go into what makes that a little bit different from a normal NFT. Me personally, I'm super excited about it, but I'd like to get your feedback for sure.
Look, for me, it's simple. It's all about finding a home. And what I love about the DMT Invaders is, of course, the exciting technology that I don't understand well, but it's a way to get involved in a community, one that's not already robust. I mean, we've got like the Welsh community that's pretty robust. They've got a ton of support, leading the way in many ways. And then when the Rue community came together, you know, it's an opportunity to be at the ground floor of a community, to find a home, to be part of something exciting. And, you know, look, the one DMT invader per block is genius. I mean, it really is. And I would like someone to speak about the novelty of this kind of mint. It really is. So, it's a lot of fun. Okay. It's a lot of fun playing around, checking the chain, seeing what people are bidding. But a lot of this has to do with trust and cooperation. And those are really the two main things I'm looking for in this community. You know, can we trust one another without knowing each other deeply yet? You know, those things are still building. And can this type of project really develop and advance and not get thrown by the wayside? So, yeah, man, I'm posting every day. I love the project. I'm really looking forward to seeing where we're going. But there's a lot of trust involved here.
Yeah. So for the uninitiated, so if you're talking about NFTs, NFTs are smart contracts, right? So you know, let's say we take an NFT on Stacks, a traditional NFT, the code is on the blockchain, and what most people think of as an NFT is the actual image itself, the JPEG. You know, whether it's a Megapont or a Sigil Explorer or a piece of art. It'll matter theory. It is a way that we actually saw used in Bitcoin Ordinals, to use the data from the blockchain to create the NFT. Well, for lack of a better word, the NFT. Now, a Bitcoin Ordinal is basically, to just bring that down to its base components. We call, you know, the most basic unit of measurement in a Satoshi, right? So you have a sat, some people call it, right? So an ordinal is a way to put data on top of a sat, whether that is text, video, JPEGs, what have you. And Bitcoin ordinals are stored on chain. So the difference between a Bitcoin ordinal and an NFT is very clear. It's on chain versus the NFT. The image is on a different server, not on the blockchain. A DMT NFT, which is only available on Stacks right now, is something that my teammate created while we were working on a DeFi protocol for Rue, where you can actually generate and store an image for an NFT on the Stacks blockchain. You don't have to have the server backup to show the image, right? So in order to do that, you can only mint them one at a time, right? Every Stacks block, which runs with every Bitcoin block, an average of about 10 minutes when everything's like it's supposed to be. And so every block you can mint one of these ordinals, right? And one of these NFTs, I'm sorry. So it's new for Stacks. It's new for all of crypto, really. And it's a lot of fun. And so far, some of the things I really like about it is the fairness of it. You can't really game the system. You know, one of the things that you have to worry about as a retail NFT collector or token trader or what have you is how much of that token is in circulation, how much of it is owned by the team, how much of it's owned by whales. You know, if it's launched and a whale just snatches up, 10% of the supply right away, like these are all concerns. But with the DMT mint, it's all random. Everyone has a shot. It's very hard to just accumulate, and just become a whale. and it's a lot of fun because I'm sure everyone here has participated in a NFT mint before, or an ordinal mint, or a token pre-sale, and you're all hyped up waiting to see if you get your bag. Well, because this is a almost 5,000 piece collection, and you can only mint one at a time in an average of every 10 minutes, it's a very long mint. So that's been very fun to see play out. As an NFT artist, who has collections, Giga Pepe, what's your impressions of the DMT on Stacks right now?
I'm really excited about it, Jack. I think that it'll be something that changes the way that we degen, just like everything that you guys have been creating from the start, and it's awesome. I think that it's really going to set the standard for how artists do generative work on Stacks. I think that if it, with not having to use IPFS, that's costly. You have to have a pretty much somebody to you have to run a big bill if you want your if you're a marketplace and you're hosting all of those images like Gamma does.
Right.
It's costly. So like this really
And I
changes
mean,
the way.
there's
Really
always a
changes.
chance. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh
Finish
yeah,
your thought.
it really changes the way that we might see places like Gamma like function.
Yeah. I think that it's not going to take long. You'll see marketplaces that start incorporating tool sets to allow people to make their own mints. I mean, there's already a bit of a demand for it. We've got 3 different collections that have reached out to us so far wanting to do a DMT mint. So we're pretty excited about it. What do you think about it, Steve? What's your opinion on it? I mean, I know you like ordinals a lot, and I'd be real interested in the insight.
I think so. I love the DMT stuff in general and the meta protocol stuff on Bitcoin. It's really cool. What you guys did bringing it to Stacks is huge. And I don't know if any of you guys have actually participated in any DMT mints on ordinals, but everyone's trying to get the same block. It's very expensive. The fees are real high. So you could spend a lot of Bitcoin and get nothing. This, it's cheap. You're spending like, well, I'm maybe letting out a secret here. Just lost my earbud. Maybe I'm letting out a secret here, but I don't raise my gas to mint. I just try to mint when nobody else is minting. Hopefully I get one. But it's only it's only costing me 0.01, 0.02 stacks. So if I miss it, it's not costing me a ton of money to do it. So it's not hard to participate. It's not costly to participate. That's a big advantage. And being able to apply the same technology is really, really cool. I love it.
Yeah, I like it too. I like how it allows people to, again, just be able to participate without having whales that own a whole lot of it. It's fair. It's competitive. It's good for the network. I think it's got a lot of benefits, and also like the randomness of the actual mint can really be built upon to make some unique collections. That's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to as we go forward, and how to use that to make some more cool things, how to gamify it. I think it's a lot of fun. We're really excited about it. In terms of, as a creator, knowing about what you know about NFTs, Giga Pepe, what excites you right now? Right? I mean, are you excited about standard NFTs? Are you excited about ordinals? Are you excited about the DMT? Like, what in that realm? Speaking as an artist, what do you what do you look forward to doing? What do you look forward to building? Because I'm Giga bullish on ordinals, but I'm sitting here in real time being like, man, like I really want to see where these DMT NFTs go, because they're great for everything up until you get to things like music and video. But for actual, just what we think of a traditional NFT, they're pretty awesome. But I'd love to get the expert's opinion. What do you say?
I think that if we could make a platform that has like a leaderboard that shows in real time the bids, like on the block for a certain NFT. I have a lot of ideas of what you could do with DMT. You know, like if we had a leaderboard and it showed you everybody that's tried to mint that certain NFT, that block, and it kind of, you know, give, and then have like a like maybe like a chat room, and then just have like a place where like there's on in real time you're watching this block go down. And like with Nakamoto, it's going to be different. You know, we're going to have block times so much faster, so you can see in real time, you know, what mint is going down beforehand through the data, and then you can see the people that are bidding on it, and you can talk with them. You know, so something just interactive, just very like degen culture, like NFTs have, like people. Degens love that type of stuff, and you know, bid together, and I think that would be fun. I'm excited. I've already started cooking a lot of different ideas up with different layers and stuff, and started working on some new stuff and ideas for things that I would like to do DMT. You know, Ordinals. I want to do something with Ordinals, and it's kind of a little early to for me to disclose anything right now, because I'm in a very prototype phase of something that I'm working on.
Man, well, when you're ready to discuss it, we'd like to have you on to talk about it a little bit more. Yeah, I like Ordinals a lot. I think that right now in the cycle where we're at, even with the big run up we had starting in November of last year, I don't think we've really touched the most bullish part of this cycle, or even gotten anywhere close to it. And I think things like Ordinals and Runes and Bitcoin in general, you know, a lot of new people to the space, they haven't really ever seen what Bitcoin does to alts when it goes on a tear. You know, if you've been in here just a couple years now, like Bitcoin will suck all the air out the room. It'll pull all the liquidity. It's ridiculous, and it's a horrible feeling when you're stuck in alts and you're watching Bitcoin go on a kick. My personal feeling is that this is the first time that we're on the precipice of a move like that, where you have things that have now been built on Bitcoin to the degree that they've been built on Bitcoin, with things like Ordinals and Runes, which is basically like ERC20s on Bitcoin, with, you know, a highly developed layer 2 like Stacks, where you have DeFi protocols and all of these smart contract functionalities that exist on the other blockchains that don't have the security of Bitcoin, right? So I think that this is going to be a pretty unique run. And I think that unfortunately a lot of people in the market are trapped on other chains. I think they're trapped in meme coins that they're upside down on. I think they're stuck in a lot of things. And I think when this big move happens, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to be like, oh my gosh, why wasn't I on Bitcoin? Why didn't I have any stacks? Why did I sleep on Ordinals and Runes? LMO, where am I wrong there? What do you feel about that?
Look, you know, I'm up and down with the market sentiment, you know, not to the point of selling off or anything, but I ultimately think you're right. There's going to be a lot of people selling off and upset here. I still think we're warming up on the stacks. You know, if we're talking about stacks, I do think we've got a really good opportunity here for a lot of people to build in the next 8 weeks. and launch their projects, whether it's art or something else, other DMT style launches. I mean, it's really a godsend in many ways. But I do think the market, Ordinals, all the fun runes are going to take off. It's really just a matter of how much risk. I personally am not risking a ton in that realm, but I've got my bets on other things. But if I had the capital to deploy, I would do it.
Yeah. How about you, Steve? What's your overall sentiment on this conversation?
I'm bullish long term on the market and the space. My experience. So this is my third cycle that I'm aware of a cycle. I came along in 2017, so in the middle of that cycle, and I learned some lessons about getting involved in the middle of the bull market, which is good to learn. And so went through the last cycle and was a little bit more prepared for that. And then now I feel like I'm even more prepared for this cycle, and we're still very early. We're just post halving. That's not the bull market, guys. We got chopping sideways for another 2 to 6 months, I think, before we actually take off. And the real bull market's going to be 2025, not before the end of this year, I don't think. Not financial advice.
Yeah, no, I think that it's and the other factor is, 2 out of the 3 people running for president are pro crypto, which is a first. So depending on how the elections go in the U.S.
and the one that's not pro crypto is pretending to be now.
Right. That's true. I figure it'll be a good chance to talk a little bit about decentralization some more, because one of the things that we see in the market right now, everyone's been talking about it, and again, there's a lot of new entrants. It's easy if you've been here. This is my third cycle too. It's easy if you've been here a while to kind of think that everyone's on the same page. But without that time in the market, you're really not. If you've been paying attention, since 2017, 2016, what have you, you've learned a lot over the years. And right now you see people on Solana just kind of befuddled at why nothing will run now, and the reason that nothing will run is because the time to make the gains in Solana was around November of last year. Now the liquidity is so fractured because there's just hundreds of thousands of tokens being turned out. And then with the celebrity thing, I mean, we've seen this before, and we've even seen shadows of it before we actually saw the first celebrities, right? But guys, if you're buying something where everybody who cares got their piece before it even hit the market or before you knew about it, you're gonna have a bad time. Like copy trading, and I speak from personal experience here. Copy trading is a great way to get wrecked. I spent my first 6 months in the space trying to find things on Twitter or what have you, and before I was finally broke down to like, man, I got to learn how to read a chart. Right. So then that started that, and that took its own took its own life and started me on a different direction. But the Solana meme coin thing is cooked, and none of these are decentralized projects by any stretch of the imagination. A decentralized project, in my estimation, is something that belongs to a group of people, a group of market participants. And there's a very good example in that in Ordinals. There's a few. The ones that I'm most familiar with are Honey Badgers and NodeRocks. And I know Steve from the NodeRocks because it has a pretty interesting history. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, Steve. Like, what does decentralization mean to you? Why do you think it's important for a crypto project? And what does the future look like? Is it just this thing where these coins, these tokens never progress from being just pump and dumps to something that builds out something more sustainable over time.
Okay, well, so I actually was involved in the NodeRocks. You found it first, and I had started following you because I was looking for information on Stacks on Twitter. And that's how I came across you, because you were telling people about it and you were providing a lot of connections to a lot of information about it. And the reason I'm interested in Stacks is because I'm interested in decentralization. And what I'm interested in decentralization about is really more of the broader evolution of society and how that's going to apply to the rails we're building for social organization and the future of economic development and sound money, freedom of speech. Censorship resistant communication is a big factor in decentralization. Distributed networks is another way to say decentralized. Decentralization is empowerment. It gives everyone access, or gives more people more access to things, and that's what I like about the space. What I liked about NodeRocks was that it was a decentralized community attempting to overcome being rugged. The project was rugged, and the community members worked together for their own self-interests, but also collectively because they were self-interested in the project. It formed a community based on everyone having collective self-interest, and that's really how I see things developing for social organization on the blockchain. Eventually you're going to have, if you want to participate in NodeRocks, you can. And if you don't want to participate in NodeRocks, you don't have to. And if you own NodeRocks and other people are building and you don't support them, you still get the benefit because you own NodeRocks, and so just by owning NodeRocks, you're supportive of the community to some degree versus selling them. And if you don't want to participate, you don't think we're going to go anywhere, you sell them. And that's kind of how you have the mechanism to develop an opt-in, opt-out social order that is more available. And I know that's probably not that's not really the conversation we were necessarily looking for, but that's where I came.
We are, though. That's the thing. Like you got to the heart of the matter, right? I think that the way that most people would live, given the opportunity, would be whether or not they want to opt in or opt out of a system. That gives the human at the individual level much more dignity, and that is at the heart of separating the state from money. So no, I mean you're over the target, brother.
Right. This is actually why we're all here. We really are. Right. We support this because there is no opt out. There is no way to opt out of the current paradigm. You cannot. You're subject to the outcome, regardless of how you want to go, and you're also subject to contribute financially to whatever the whims of the people that actually win the outcome. So right. It's a violent system right now. You're compelled to participate whether you want to or not, or if you don't participate, you're still subject to the outcome of a higher authority. So it's broken. But I mean, we didn't have those rails when we're responding to a system that's been in place for a long time, that we just have a technological advance that's making it capable. So for me, NodeRocks is kind of an experiment in how a decentralized community might formulate and come together and build stuff together, and then what we can do with that, and then when there's disagreements, how does that go? And when there's, you know, it's all just a big experiment, and it's a really cool, like it's a cool community. The people involved are really interesting. There's a lot of talent in there with some of the stuff that's being built. You know, we got, not a lot of communities have their own staking mechanism, building out a project explorer where you can go and check your rocks and see what's listed and what's not listed and what's you know, in their own platform, and you know, that kind of stuff. And some really interesting things. It's slower to develop than I think some of the people that were that originally started it were hoping. You know, they thought it was going to come online a lot sooner than this, and there's a lot of technical aspects of it that's tricky, but interesting. You know, it's just an exercise in building and how community dynamic, decentralized community dynamics what we can create out of that.
And so I think right now where we're at in the market, and it's always hard to time these things, you know, a decentralized project looks different than a centralized project in every aspect, but most notably for what most people concern themselves with is price. A decentralized project really needs to grow, you know, long ways, right? A decentralized project is not going to shoot straight into the stratosphere, which is what most people want. They want that big giant return immediately, so they can do what? So they can cash out their bags and find the next one. And I think there is always going to be a market for that, because I can leave my house right now and go buy scratch off tickets and do essentially the same thing, right? But I think as the space matures, my bet in the space is that we're building communities that can potentially last, and we're building technologies that enable communities to be fully decentralized. You know, the way that the Roo token was launched gives it as good of a chance as possible to be a token for a decentralized community, right? The way that DMT mints work, totally decentralized. Like once you release that on the blockchain, it has a life of its own, and what the community does with it, they do with it. So I think it's worth building towards those ends and seeing that whether or not, or not whether or not, because I know there's a market for it. It depends on, what we really need to answer is how big is the market for it right now versus how big the market's going to be for it later. Right, because that's a lot of people need to pay attention to this as they look at things from a builder standpoint.
Right. Well, it's got to be usable for the average person. That's where you get mass adoption. That's where things come in. You need to build something that's useful, that people can do something with and participate with, and that doesn't necessarily jive with, I need to build value right now so I can dump this on people. You know, I need to pump my bags. You know, it's a different thing.
It's the Bitcoin ethos is what it is, and that's what brings people to Stacks. Giga Pepe, I think I'd like to get some thoughts from you on this conversation in terms of decentralized communities, decentralized projects versus, you know, what the market has more of, which is just, you know, largely just vaporware that's made as a hyper Ponzi trading mechanism.
Yeah, I'd like to say shout out to all the creators out there that are putting together these decent communities. More VC garbage. We need some real people that know what the culture of this decentralized communities stand for, you know, and understand how important it is that you know, it's the safest place for your freedom of speech. You know, it's one of the things that we have to protect and keep contributing to the culture of, and continue, like, everything that everybody contributes to it in their own way makes it grow a little bit more each day. So, as long as we have our builders and our people keep making these communities, this decentralized dream will become our future, and I think that's very important. Decentralize everything.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that as well. And I think that, like, still to this day, Welsh really embodies what a decentralized community can aspire to be better than any other community. I mean, if you just stop and think for just a minute at what that community accomplishes on any given day, they're onboarding people at a rapid rate. They do this through giveaway and education. They've developed merchandise. You've had people in that community build further protocols to do things with tokens. Application. As a participant in the ecosystem for a while now, LMNO, what do you think about Welsh's in terms of decentralization, and is this a trend that you see gaining steam? Do you think that the Ponzi-nomics are going to win the day short term?
I think there's vaporware and there's vapor people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that for me, Jack?
No, I could see that. I can tell you this now, man. You can quote me. The pain that's coming when people are caught offsides of Bitcoin this next run is going to be outrageous. Now, again, you get back to timing, but I'm a betting man by nature. You get a pro crypto president in the United States and you go to bed with, $80,000 Bitcoin, and you might wake up with $150,000 Bitcoin. And when that happens, if you're stuck all in alts, you're going to rue that day for a while. But that's just my opinion on it. We've got oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Jack, let me just sorry, I didn't know if the question was for me.
Oh yeah, it was for you.
So on the Welsh thing, just a quick background. I know we're running out of time here. The early days, I was one of the early guys to go to the old faucet for the nothing token. And there was an early battle, if you remember, between communities, the Welsh community, which I got rugged. I feel like I got rugged from early on because I also was one of the first minters of those. And one of my early battles with Rosar, who I've come to realize is really an amazing guy and a builder, and exhibits a lot of altruism. I've seen that Welsh community grow, and I my feelings about it, it's tentative. There's a little. If I see the tendency to idol worship, where there's like the Lord Rosar's there, and if he disappears, I am concerned. But that's a concern that I share across decentralized communities. I mean, I'm still not sure what a decentralized community looks like and feels like on a day-to-day basis. There are these vapor people. There's anons that are there. I'm one of them. But they can just disappear at any moment. And I do think a lot of this comes down to trust and cooperation. Who are you trusting? Who are you cooperating with to maintain relationship? Without relationship and just a bunch of shilling and pumping, you're in trouble. So if I see a lot of that, I do start to get a little bit concerned. I still think so many people are looking for a trustworthy community they can cooperate with and that can call and find a decentralized home. But that's it's a working definition. What does a decentralized home or decentralized community look like?
No, you're right. And I think that we don't know exactly what it looks like yet. I think that's going to take a while. I know when in my quiet moments, when I think about like the root token, I put a lot of thought into that. I want it to be fully decentralized. I don't want it to rely on, a handful of people who are talking about it and keeping the community going. I want people who are invested enough, not just financially, but like actually just invested in this entity, this community, to show up and make content and keep it fun and add those aspects that are unique to crypto to this thing, so it can keep being cool. And then if someone wants to build something around it or for it to make it even cooler, awesome. Like that's the ideal. And again, when you get to NFTs, I think that the DMT on Stacks is really going to kind of set the standard for decentralization, just because of the nature of the mint itself. Well, we're actually, these things always go so fast. We've got about 5 minutes left. I'm gonna go around and ask everybody so for some final thoughts, and if you got anything you want to talk about, please do. Let's go ahead and we'll go from my right in real life. Steve, what you got? Anything you got to say before we head out?
Just thanks again for having me, Jack. This was really fun. I love doing it. I think this is actually a tremendously valuable thing to the community to be doing this stuff. If you have an idea and you're not sure about it, something you want to build on Stacks, or something, just a thought about it, check out the DeGrants. Come into the console space for the DeGrants console and ask questions and get involved. There's people that want to help you build stuff there. And then keep an eye out for NodeRocks. We got the promo. We're giving away some NodeRocks with the Welsh guys going on. We're also actually doing a solo collab with our buddy that running the Ordinals bot. He was actually Purple Toshi was actually in our NodeRocks community. He got a community lead position with them, so he's helping Ordinals bot with their launch. We got some whitelists for the NodeRocks guys there. If they don't know about that, they might be able to get some mints going, pre-mint. And then shout out to Bitscape. They're putting in some work. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background. They're building stuff. It's going to be really cool. Probably a little while before we get a launch on that, but it's keep an eye out for Bitscape too.
Yeah, the L2s are going to be interesting to talk about as they mature and go, for sure. That's where the meta's at. How about you, Giga Pepe? Got anything you want to sign off with?
Yeah, just thank you for having me on here, man. Honestly, it's been a privilege to be up here with you guys, getting to talk with you guys live, and yeah, I look forward to talking with you guys more whenever I get my solid, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys. I'm excited to build and see what we can do with DMT, man. Got a couple ideas I want to show you.
Where can people go and see your art, and where's your community located at?
Right on. They can find me on console. I have a link tree right on Twitter. My handle is GPSE_STX. You can find me on Twitter there, and under my profile, you can find my link tree and just about anything that you need from me. I have a Zero Authority profile. You can find me there. And you can also find me in my Discord or in console communities as well. So
cool. Giga Pepe Spaceship Club is an awesome art collection. I love your take on Pepe. I think it's the most original take into space, and I have several of your NFTs. I really like the art a lot. So looking forward to having you come back, man. Looking forward to see what you want to cook up with DMT. And assuming no one beats us to the punch, and looking forward to releasing a Giga Pepe DMT collection. So that'll be a lot of fun.
I second all that, Jack. I wanted to second all that. I'm a huge fan of Giga Pepe too. I love what they're building over there. Really great community, and I love the art, and I have a bunch of his stuff too.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. So how about you, Elemento? What you got to say before we head on out for the day?
It's been great to be here, Jack, Steve, GPSC. A couple things. Avoid idol worship in communities. Get plugged in and build your reputation. If there's barriers to entry, don't worry. We've all been there. Invite others to the community by helping, donating, offering your services for free if possible. Build trust, cooperate with one another, stick together. Lots of friendly people out there. Get ready to ride this big wave incoming soon.
Yeah, that's reputation's important. I want to have the Zero Authority guys on soon so we can talk more about reputation. We're doing some stuff in the Root community with reputation badges, and it's a lot of fun so far. People like it a lot. And thank you guys for coming on. Absolutely great insight. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing this. Thank you. I'd like to have you all back, obviously. So that's all we've got today. Thank you for watching. Please go check out DeGrants. Go check out Giga Pepe. Follow these guys. The best thing you can do for yourself in this space is find yourself a good community to grow in. Level up fast. That's God's honest truth. And make sure you follow the right people on social media. And you can't do much better than the people we have in this panel with us today. So give these guys a follow, and thank y'all for being here. And we'll be back in 2 weeks with a new episode. Thanks again, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.
Goes with that right.